Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to this 22nd session of the Afghan Association of Ontario online program in awareness of racism, discrimination, Islamophobia, and all kinds of hatred. This program is an initiative of the Afghan Association of Ontario in collaboration with and partial funding by the Government of Canada. In this program, we invite guests with experience and our expertise in the area of racism, discrimination, and Islamophobia to share their experiences and expertise with our viewers. So dear viewers, please, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. Or if you can do, please share this program on your social media pages so that more and more people will become aware of. In today's program, we have a special guest. His name is Younus Imam. He comes from SALAM project and is a Masjid security consultant. And we are going to ask him questions about his experience and expertise. So, Brother Younus, welcome to this program. And I thank you for your time and for sharing your insights and expertise. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair. I'm very honored to be on. Thank you.
Well, and we are honored to have you as a guest. Let's start the program by asking you to give us a little bit information about your background and how you ended up what you are doing now.
So alhamdulillah. So I'm a disaster management professional, right? And what happened is that while I was in school, I was studying at York University in a master's program, and the Quebec City shooting happened, right? And so I asked my professor, like, how can we help the different mosques, right? And he actually suggested that, you really should start, doing research on this. And so a whole year later, and we did, I think about 30-something interviews with different researchers, police officers, different mosque personnel, and we built a body of research on how to protect the Muslim community the best. And in the meantime, what happened is that, I started working in my field, and what happened is that I got connected to the City of Brampton's emergency management office. They have a project to, bring this kind of emergency planning to the different mosques and churches and gurdwaras and temples, right? And I met, and then I got connected with the founder, Brother Wasim, right? So he founded the SALAM project, and so we basically go around and we train all these different mosques on security planning and training, right? It stands for safety, awareness, and learning through action-based measures. That's what SALAM stands for.
Oh, very good, because that was one of my questions later on, but we'll come more in details about it there. Now, you have been in contact with so many organizations and people, etc. In your contact with them, how did you find how big of an issue is racism, discrimination, Islamophobia, and hatred?
So, I would say that we're very close to, having done about 160 presentations now to different mosques. We've done it in British Columbia, we've done it in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and of course Ontario, New Brunswick as well, right? And almost every single mosque we go to, we receive reports of different security issues that they've received. Sometimes it's a man wearing a niqab coming to a mosque and going into the sisters section. Sometimes it's, people just trying to do surveillance. There was one mosque or not really a mosque, it was more of an educational center, right? Where a guy was sitting outside in a van for 3 days, and he was just watching the children as they went to class. It was an Islamic school, right? Mm-hmm. Wow. Right? And these are all different issues that come up, and I'm not going to say whether it's on the rise or decline, because there's kind of, there's hills and valleys, right? It goes up and down, right? Especially if there has been a big event regarding Muslims, then it seems like this activity increases.
Thank you for that information. So, in the Muslim communities, you are dealing with working with organizations, etc. And in that context, that you work with the Muslim communities, what do you think the minority communities have to do in order to cope with this situation?
So, I mean, this is a really complex topic, and I would say it's beyond even my understanding, right? Because there's a lot, right? So, I mean, from the purely security side, right? There's lots of measures you can take, right? A mosque does not have to spend a lot of money or any money even to be relatively secure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, taking these measures into their own hands, understanding how to build a security team, a reporting system, right? Understanding that every single person themselves can be their own security team, like as in they can report security issues and take action on their own, right? Empowering that. That's kind of our approach, right? But from like the general discrimination thing, right? Obviously, like the role of advocacy groups, like all these different community groups, like your own, like NCCM, like the Muslim Association of Canada, right? Or there's a couple of other ones that are more localized now, right? These organizations are very important in terms of like advocating. And if we're talking about just a community grassroots based approach, we need to like kind of educate people about what Islam really is, because I think many of these things come from misunderstandings about what Muslims do, right? Or about who Muslims are, right? A lot of people, the only exposure they've had to Muslims is probably just, oh yeah, it has to do with war and terrorism and all these things, right? And so that's generating those feelings, right? And there's also, unfortunately, there is a whole Islamophobia industry, right? There's a multi-million-dollar industry. There's people who actually, they go on speaking circuits. They have written books that get sold out, right? About different, Islamic extremism, and to them, Islamic extremism is anything that involves us praying 5 times a day, having a beard, wearing a hijab, or any of those things is extremism, right? The only acceptable Muslim to them is one that I'm celebrating Eid, and that's about it, right?
Yeah.
So but the food's involved, right?
Yeah.
So this is I mean, there's a lot of people who are getting paid a lot of like money because they're spreading this kind of propaganda, right? So this is part of the problem within government policy. I think, unfortunately, there is it seems like there's a systemic bias, right? And they don't like, even the tools that they've provided oftentimes aren't working that efficiently, like the security infrastructure program.
Yeah. So thank you for that insight. I'm not sure if you are aware or if the audience is, our viewers are aware. I come from an architectural background, and I have over 30 years experience in designing buildings, public buildings, big facilities. And one of the things that we did after this issue of terrorism came into being is how to integrate security and in the design itself, in the design of the facility. So, for example, some facilities, we will integrate the landscaping in such a way that the landscaping will prevent a truck or a car that is laden with explosives can go and hit the building, to prevent it from, or some other aspects, putting bollards where they cannot approach the entrance of the building or something like that. So I think, the religious communities who are being discriminated against, whether they are synagogues or gurdwaras or temples or masajid, perhaps the organizers, the founders of these organizations could also think in these forms, just for the physical aspects of the security.
Yeah, a proactive approach, right?
Yeah. And then the other thing, of course, is you also refer to something on educating the population. And that is very important. The previous interviews that I had, many people raised that issue, that the education has to have two aspects to it. One aspect is to educate the mainstream Canadians to truly understand what the real Islam stands for and what does it do, and all the various aspects of Islam that had created such great civilizations in history in the past, so that they become aware that the misperception that they have received from the media and from certain activities of certain deranged people, that they have done certain things, is not the actual representation of Islam. The other one aspect is also to educate the members of the Muslim community so they are ready and willing to be good ambassadors of the faith. So that is very good. Can you tell us more about the SALAM project? You refer to the SALAM project, but can you give us some information about what it is, how it has benefited the Muslim community in various masajid, etc.?
Yeah, so I mean, we're basically a collection of people who some of us are in the military, some of us are urban planning, some of us are law enforcement, right? Or some of us are in private security, right? Me, myself, I'm in disaster management. So we take all of the information that we have from our fields, from our experiences. Some of our members include like Staff Sergeant Jamal Khan, he's Toronto's first Muslim police officer, and he's retired now, but he gives us a lot of insight into like these kinds of hate crimes and stuff and how to deal with this stuff. And so it's almost like we gather all this knowledge together and we provide it to other mosques. And what our process is that we try to go to a mosque, we do like kind of a community training session. We do an audit. It's a three-stage program. We do a training session, then an audit, which is we do a risk assessment of the site. We figure out what can be done better, and we have like a meeting with the management, right? We produce a document for them that they can refer to, right? And then the last part is that we actually train the security team on the measures and the kind of the protocols and stuff. Like, if this situation happens, what do you do? And alhamdulillah, so many different mosques we've seen now are taking a more proactive measure, right? And they're actually getting more on top of just, reporting things and, hey, we need to be careful in this situation or that situation, like making sure that, for example, just something as simple as keeping all the exit ways for a mosque open, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's not actually a common thing. What happens a lot of the times is that a lot of the exit paths are blocked off because, oh yeah, we're just storing something here, right? Just simple, weird, mundane, everyday things which actually pose a great safety risk, right? So these are the things that we do. We kind of just help as many as we can. We're all working separate jobs and stuff, so we take our time out of our day, and this is our volunteering, basically. This is how we give back. Yeah.
Volunteers. This is volunteer work. That's very good. I commend you for that, and all your colleagues who work with you. You work in this field, and what I wanted to do was you worked also with the National Canadian Council of Muslims, I believe. I don't know what.
Briefly, yeah.
There work with them. So, do you think that some other organizations, like for example the Jewish community, they have a group called the B'nai B'rith that monitor all the media as well as physically what is happening in terms of anti-Semitic activities in this country, or the Catholic Church has their own monitoring system. I think the Muslims, most probably because it's a newer community here, it's not as old. I'm not sure if to your knowledge, they have a national entity that can do the same thing, or if this group that you worked with just for a short time, if they could take this role and monitor and then lobby, provide reports and statistics for it. I would like to hear your insights on that.
So I mean, so just to clarify, I did a short contract with them in terms of it was a specific project that I was helping them on,
Yeah.
and I still volunteer with them today, right? We're still helping them out all the time. It's like, you know, they've been really amazing, right? Like what I would say is that they generally have become the people who all the hate crimes are reported to, all the different issues around Islamophobia, they're reported to them, right? So they're almost like, you know, they're responding to the stuff and dealing with it in the media and stuff, right? There's a couple things which make the Muslim community a little bit different than other communities.
Mm-hmm.
One is that we have our nature, so a lot of the cultures, right, that are Muslim countries, whatever, they have very like forgiving attitudes. So like, for example, my mother, many years ago, right, when she was driving, right, somebody yelled at her, like called her ISIS. She was a hijab, right? What happens is that, you know, she didn't ever report that to anybody. She only told it to us, right, later on, right? And all like, you know, a lot of these Muslim cultures have this kind of attitude of, oh yeah, like just let it go, right? Let it, whatever it is, go, right? So, you know, the hate crimes against the Muslim community, they're largely being underreported, right? We think that there's probably, whatever the statistics are, it's probably 10 or 20 times worse than what that's showing, right? And another thing is that, like, oftentimes Muslim communities, like, you know, especially if they're recent immigrants, right, to this country, their relationship with police is like, they're uncertain, right? There's fear there, right? Like they're not sure if they should report things, and like, you know, to them the police is always represented like, you know, that, oh yeah, like they'll get in trouble, right? And you know, so they have that relationship. Obviously, you know, there's lots of conversations to be had about how policing is done in this country too. That, you know, it's not perfect, right? So there's like lots of barriers, right? Which, for that reason, I think that the Muslim community hasn't been as fast at getting on top of having this sort of body to attack these sorts of issues. So there are, what I'll say is the NCCM is like by far the largest one, right? And in terms of, they're the ones who kind of like, they almost have a monopoly on it, I would say, right? And you know, they've been very good in trying to include every single Muslim community to help out, right? And then on the ground level, there's a lot of different community organizations doing advocacy, right, within their locality. So in Peel region, there's the Muslim Council of Peel, right? In Milton, there's the I forgot. It was the Muslim Advisory Council Canada, right? And that's a Milton-focused one, right? Then, and you know, across there's just a lot of different organizations who are doing this, right? And NCCM, what they do is that they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. I think they try to unite everybody. That's what I've seen generally, right? In British Columbia, there's the BCMA, and that's about 30 different mosques in BC, and they're all kind of united, and they tackle with these issues as well, right? So that's kind of, I mean, I don't have a very straightforward answer for you, but that's like kind of how it's been going. But it is still a work in progress.
It is evolving. I mean, yeah. It is evolving. Perhaps what happens is that, you know, it's true that the Muslim community is very diverse. It's not as centralized as the Catholic Church or as the Jewish community.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very diverse because it comes from so many different, you know, 56, 57 different countries, nations. So that diversity shows it has its advantages. It also has some negative aspects to it. And one of them is to bring all those people together under one umbrella so they can, you know, bring their resources together and have a more effective campaign to curtail this kind of Islamophobic outbursts in the community. Just for the viewers and also in our discussion, I would like to mention that based on my previous interviews, we in Canada are much better than many other countries. The Canadian society, we are lucky that the Canadian society is very aware of these issues of extremism and from all sides, whichever side it comes, whether it comes from white supremacists, whether it comes from other religious groups, whether it comes from Muslims, the extremism, people are aware of it, and it is discouraged to a large extent, much better in Canada than in some other countries. So in that respect, we are blessed that we live in Canada. However, having said that, this triangle of evil, which I call it discrimination, racism, discrimination, and hatred, is a triangle of evil, and it shows for Muslim communities in the shape of Islamophobia. The government also is investing in it, including partially funding this program, but they have also now assigned one representative to coordinate all the activities and to monitor Islamophobia in the country. And I believe perhaps in North America, the Peel District School Board might be the only one with an official policy to combat Islamophobia. It has started. So there is move in that direction. I would like to have your insights also on the idea that if a person which has visible manifestations of being a Muslim, a woman who is wearing a hijab, or a man that wears the thobe, the long dress for men, and it has beard, if they are exposed to racist slurs from other people, or if somehow Islamophobic outbursts, what would you advise these people, what they should do?
So, I mean, like, if you're referring to that specific situation, right, that actually it really falls more under the harassment side of things, right? Like, that's, verbal abuse, right? And obviously, I would, always recommend you report it to NCCM. And also, if there's a Muslim organization in your locality, tell them too, right? And then the other thing is local police, right? We really underestimate how important it is to report things to police, even if it's just like an incident where it was just verbal abuse. Because, so to use the example of the Jewish community, right? They report everything, right? They are very relentless in reporting. Any little thing gets reported, right? And what happens that because of that, the police actually have the data they have all the, like, when they're making decisions on which community is going to get more support, right? They have all the data saying, hey, look, we've got like 100 reports from the Jewish community and like 5 reports from like these other communities, right? So what do you think, who do you think they're going to support more? They're going to go with where the data is showing, right? That's part of it, right? The other thing is, like, I mean, in terms of general safety, right? You got to do what works for you, right? So if that means just staying away from the situation, that's probably going to be like the best thing. Just like, just detaching, taking a non-combative like kind of thing, because oftentimes the objective of such outbursts is, either to intimidate or to provoke, right? They want to provoke you into, becoming violent or whatever, right? So, it's important, stand your ground and don't let that like kind of affect you, right? Because really, like, Allah is going to protect you.
This is very good. I ask this question from most of the people, of the guests who come, and what the pattern that I see is that there is a uniform message. Don't become a vigilante when you are faced with it. Try to take as much evidence, pictures or whatever you can do, and then go straight and report it to the authorities and let them take care of it. Reporting is also very important. This was another message. The public policy by all levels of government is determined based on statistics, and the more items are reported in that regard, it affects the public policy. You wanted to add something?
So like on the side of collecting evidence, recording with your phone, noting down exactly what was done. That's like, from a security standpoint, that's crucial, right? You write down every single thing that happened. You take pictures and videos if possible. Maybe take an audio recording, right? If it's an extended like kind of thing, right? You make sure you report it to as many different channels as possible, right? The other thing is that, your phones, everybody's phone actually has an emergency. If you feel that you're in actual physical danger, your phone has an emergency alert system, right? So on an Android phone, on a standard Android phone, if I activate it, I can click the power button 3 times or 4 times, and it will take pictures from both cameras. It'll take video, and it'll take an audio recording, and it'll send that to 4 of my closest contacts, the ones that I've chosen, and it'll actually show my Maps location. Right? And it might even automatically call 911. I believe there's a similar functionality on Apple devices as well, right? Mm-hmm. So this is like, if you feel that you're actually in danger, these tools exist for you. Right? And another thing is installing this is a little more grim, but first aid apps. There's a lot of really good first aid apps on your phones. Install them, all of them, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, choose the one that works for you. There's a Red Cross one, there's a St. John's ambulance one, right? Install those on your apps, and those apps are designed to work when you don't know what's going on and you need help as soon as possible.
Well, that's very good. This is good for the viewers. Please, inquire about these apps and go to people who provide you with the technology, or in the family, if somebody knows more, they're tech savvy, tell them to install these apps on your devices, and also to get a 2 or 3 minute tutorials of how to apply the system that Brother Younus just described, that it will take pictures and will send your location and the pictures to the designated people, and they will receive them. So they can take some action. This is very good. Thank you. I appreciate it. Our time is coming to an end. So do you have a last message that you want to share with our audience?
Jazakallah khair, Brother Ahmed Shah, I really appreciate you having us on. So, I'm just gonna say that, just remember that no matter how bad your situation is, you generally have quite a few options available to you. Right, and you're not gonna. There's so much that you can do that you don't know. Right, so it's as simple as: do you know where every exit is in your mosque? Do you know where the exits are in the shopping mall? Mm. Right? Do you know where the first aid kit is in the mosque? Right, and then do you know what your rights are? Right, so if you're attacked, right?
Yeah.
According to Canadian Criminal Code Section 25, you can use whatever thing that you have on you to fight back. I can pick up my laptop and hit the person with it. I can pick up a chair, whatever. I can use whatever weapons is available to fight back, right? And this is all, you'll be protected under law, right? As long as you're trying to save somebody's life, the law is not going to get you for that, right? So what I'm going to say is that you're almost never hopeless, right? The New Zealand shooting, remember, that guy was stopped because he killed 50 people, but he was stopped by one person fighting back with a credit card machine. He was an Afghani immigrant to New Zealand, 48 years old. His name was Abdulaziz Wahabzala. Look up his story, right? He fought back, and he chased the guy away from the mosque, right? Because he had a credit card machine, right? And this mosque shooter had done all of his homework. He had this mosque shooter had flown a drone over the mosque. He'd come 3 times beforehand to do surveillance, and he had done his homework. But one person fighting back was what it took.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Just to remind our viewers, this program is an initiative of the Afghan Association of Ontario, and confronting racism, discrimination, and Islamophobia in Ontario is this program that is also partially funded by the Government of Canada. And I would like our viewers to share this program on their social media pages so more and more people can become aware of this. And at the same time, if any of the viewers is interested to share, if you want to share your expertise or experience that you have in relation to Islamophobia, please get in touch with us, and we would make an arrangement so you can come and be our guest in this program. Also, if you are watching this program on YouTube, this will be uploaded to YouTube, to the Afghan Association of Ontario YouTube channel. If you are watching them there, then please subscribe to the channel so that you will have access not only to this one, but to all the other programs that we have posted there. Thank you very much, Brother Younus, and thank you, viewers, for your time. And we are going to sign off.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so